Aloha everybody and shalom. Shabbat is just about over here, and soon it will be time to light the Hanukkah, the Hanukkah menorah, when we see the first stars. So it just really felt like it was the perfect time to begin the activation. For those of you who are new to these videos, they've been going on for, I don't know, over 4 years now, every single week. And they actually have nothing to do with the moon other than the fact that we use it as a measurement of time. What's happening in the moon is happening inside of us, and it's happening within all of creation. So the moon is just a really awesome and easy way to stay on track with which part of the cycle we're currently experiencing, not just as individuals, but also as a collective. So while I'm getting set up here, and while I begin to shuffle, go ahead and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in, as usual, from the lovely Sedona, Arizona. For those of you returning to the weekly activation portal, thank you for coming back and bringing your magic. Who do we have in the house? Arizona, Maryland. Where are you in the world? You might want to make sure that you have a little water near you, and just make sure that you're comfortable. England in the house. Florida in the house. Asheville. Illinois, West Virginia. Awesome. So good to see you all. UK. Gosh, the energy feels really intense tonight. It felt a little interesting today, sort of like we were experiencing this day out of time sort of an energy. And I personally feel that right now, as I look out at the sky and it gets darker, that energy is becoming more pronounced. Ohio, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Tucson, Ireland. Sweet. And if you feel called, go ahead and just connect to the deck however you know how. Remember, mind is everything, so use your imagination. You can send a thread of light from your inner eye to the deck, from your heart to the deck. You can just feel yourself simply connecting with the deck. It doesn't necessarily have to be a vision. Do whatever feels right for you, but remember that energy flows where attention goes. Mind to matter, y'all. So create that bridge between you and the deck, you and this space. In that way, we all meet in this same one space. I also invite you to tune into the energy of all those that are present right now live for this activation. Also tuning into the awareness that there will be many others tuning into the recording. And the cool thing about this is that even though somebody might see this video months from now, even years from now, the messages that come from the tarot are timeless. They come from the realm of the archetypes, which live outside of time and space. This wisdom is timeless. And so whenever it is received, there's truth in it, because there's truth within all things. So as we perceive things, may we find the truth in them. And so if someone watches this many months from now, it'll be the perfect timing, no doubt. It always is. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle my Hebrew cards for those of you who've never seen them. They're super cool. They look like this. Go ahead and connect to these letters in the same way, knowing that these tarot cards, as well as these letters, are all representing different truths, different perspectives that exist within the individual mind as well as the collective mind. So they're just different aspects of your own mind. If you feel called, go ahead and share this video now while we're live with your friends, with your family, with your favorite groups that you think might be receptive to the incoming message. Maybe it's somebody who you know is struggling right now and could use some inspiration or some community. Maybe it's somebody who you think could help us to activate this portal even further while we're live in this moment. Or maybe you want to wait until the end of the reading and share the recording with someone who comes to mind. Remember, these videos always go to YouTube and Instagram as well at the end, so if someone's not on Facebook, that's totally okay. Okay. Beginning with the challenge, which may be very clear to many of us at this time. When we reveal this card, it may feel really clear because this is a potent energy that we are experiencing right now, which is being reflected by this eclipse. And since the last eclipse, between then and now, the lunar and the solar eclipse, it's been a very potent time. Things are shifting inside of us. Things are shifting all around us. And so whatever comes up as the challenge right now, hopefully it will be something that's very obviously already going on in our lives. So that's the challenge as we step into this new cycle this month. What is something that we can let go of? What is something that maybe we're not even aware we're carrying that we can set down in order to free up space and energy to be able to more fully and presently focus on the current challenge? And from the Hebrew cards, who is the priority ally force right now as we move through this time? I want to show you guys what it looks like for those of you who haven't ever gotten a chance to see. Just quite simple. So the challenge that is now being revealed to us, the challenge which we may already have taken a step into by today. 5 of Pentacles. And Pentacles is the suit of mind to matter. And 5 is usually about strife, challenges of the material realm. 5, like the number of the senses, or the material senses anyway. And so this comes right before a rite of passage. 5s always come right before the break, the moving on. And so the challenge right now looks like, how are we best focusing our energies mentally, emotionally, and physically, even spiritually, toward determination to stay through the challenge, to see it through to the end, to keep going, to persevere, to keep pushing despite the adversity, despite the struggles, despite the discomfort. And what's more is, it's not just about asking ourselves, how good are we at holding our ground right now and really staying with the challenges. It's also about asking, how much better can we do? How much better can we be at it? How good can we be at it? Not just, can we do it? How good can we do it? And the best way to do this, to focus our energies on staying present through the challenges, is by remembering in the midst of the challenge what it really is, what the real parts are from the temporary, from the unsustainable parts. The real part of the challenge being the hidden opportunity, the gift that lies within it, because the opposite always lies hidden within. This is a law of energy and a hermetic law. So if we're experiencing a challenge, it would do us really well if we could, amidst that challenge, while we're in it, while we're feeling all the things that come with that challenge, the discomfort, the pain, the anxiety, to remember in that moment that the only thing that's real there is the opportunity that lies within it for expansion, for psychological expansion, for spiritual expansion, when we can insert our will consciously in order to shift our response, responding differently than we would have in the past. And then that opportunity would help us to create a shift within our being, within our minds, within our hearts, and then ultimately within our reality. And the effects of that change could last forever, could affect future generations. Whereas, for example, if we're going through the suffering or the challenge and we don't remember the opportunity there and we think what's real is the suffering, we think the suffering is what's real and going to last forever, then we get attached to that suffering and we think it's lasting forever, but really we're making it last forever by giving it power, by giving it our awareness, by believing in it, by believing it is real, we make it so. And then we get stuck in that cycle. So the challenge this week looks like asking ourselves when we come to that choice point amidst the challenge, whatever that challenge is, whatever those uncomfortable feelings are, that choice point where we could either give in to the feelings and forget the real from the unreal and focus too much on the pain, giving it power. Or we can go in the opposite direction and make a change and finally go, aha, I remember in this most challenging moment why this is even happening. I remember why I'm here. I remember who I am. And I know what to do with this experience. I know that it's only a ritual to access the opportunity that lies within it for me to create more light in the world. For me to grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm going to make an opportunity out of the suffering. And I'm going to have that positive inner dialogue as I'm experiencing the pain. I'm going to allow the discomfort to be the trigger to call upon my conscious awareness to then be inserted in that moment to begin to shift the energy, to neutralize the effects of the pain rather than give it power. Okay, so it's about, look at these people on the card. They are struggling, okay? But they're still going. And the hope is lit in the window, okay? The light of hope is lit up in the window. They're feeling that hope and motivation to keep going through the pain and through the suffering and through all the things they've already had to put up with. They're still going. And there's a man and a woman on the card, and remember, all the characters are you. They are all one. So it's speaking to your polarities, your inner masculine, your inner feminine. How are you using your intuition and your logic, your active nature and your receptive nature, to best move through the challenges right now? How are you being both your own mother and father? Maybe your inner mother is the one that says, I'll hold your hand, but we got to keep going. I'll hold your hands and I'll lick your wounds. I'll help you heal as you move through this. And the inner father is saying, but we got to do this. We got to take action. We got to still keep moving. Okay, that's just one example of initiating that dialogue between the polarities that exists within you and within all of creation. How are you fully using your gifts from your feminine and masculine nature within to most gracefully move through these challenges, creating the most opportunities to grow from it? Not just, simply getting by, but how am I making the most of these challenges or this dark time or this uncomfortable time? Am I continuing to suffer to an unnecessary extent? Am I giving the pain more power than the solution, than the positive thinking, the progressive thinking? Okay, so remember, this masculine and feminine energy on the card is asking, how are you taking action right now, doing what you need to do? That's the masculine, the active force. How are you doing what you need to do right now to make it okay? For example, are you moping on the couch? Because that's not a very good or healthy masculine energy to be carrying. Your active energy wants to be supportive of your highest good, which means getting up off that couch and moving past the self-pity and taking the necessary steps to be able to progress on your path, here and now, here and now. And maybe the feminine aspect is saying, listen to your intuition. What does your intuition tell you about this challenge you're going through? How can you search your subconscious for information that might remind you as to why you may be experiencing this karma? So there are many ways that you can use the masculine and feminine forces, powers, to ace these challenges, to move through the challenges toward the gift. And to be able to do this requires presence, intention. It requires an inspiration of the spirit. So how can we free up some energy to be able to do that, to be more in our power, to be more empowered to go through this right now? Eight of Wands. I was particularly focusing on this card this morning, so it's a nice little surprise to see it come up now. Eight of Wands is all about intuition and signs. Seeing the signs or the communication from your spirit in your surroundings. Knowing that all things are signs, all things are symbols that are speaking to you, because all things are a reflection of the same one that you are a part of. And it's 8, so it's about that eternal nature of the signs, the symbols. They're everywhere. We are everywhere. The original one light is what is creating all of reality for eternity. And so how is this something that we have to leave behind? This could look like many different things. And one thing that pops up right away is this. Because remember, we asked, how do we free up energy to be able to do this? So first of all, if we want to move forward past the struggles, past the challenges, we need to leave behind old signs and symbols that brought us to this part of the story, because they only serve to bring us to where we are here and now, which is already a reflection of a past thought. So for example, you might find yourself saying, oh, but I thought this. I thought it would end up like this. I was certain that this sign or this synchronicity meant this. He texted me at 11:11, so I was certain we were going to be together forever. These are attachments and expectations, and then we hold on to a past moment and we justify it by telling ourselves that it was spiritual. It was spiritual. It was. Everything is spiritual, first of all. What was doesn't matter as much as what is. Everything is spiritual in all moments. So don't bedazzle your past, because, for example, you might think that something was intuition, and whether it was or wasn't doesn't matter. The point is that you're where you're at right now. So you might either say, oh, this was my intuition speaking, and now it landed me here. Or you might say, oh man, that must have not even been my intuition. I was wrong all along. First of all, none of these statements are going to validate you in any sort of a healthy way. They're only making these statements reveals that you don't trust yourself, that you don't trust your own intuition. You start shaming yourself, you start blaming yourself, and blaming yourself or anyone else, because we're all oneself, is never going to be a helpful or progressive thought. It's a vice, not a virtue. So you don't want to invalidate your own intuition. You don't want to invalidate yourself. You don't want to ruin your relationship you have with yourself, with your spirit, with your mind, with your heart. You don't want to tell your intuition, I don't trust you, by saying things like, oh, my intuition led me wrong. Never wrong. First of all, everything is in divine order. Nothing is outside of that order. You either believe this or you don't. You either believe this or you don't. You either believe it always or you don't. You can't just pick and choose which moment that universal truth applies to. It's universal. It's in all moments, in all spaces, across time. And so you're never wrong. It's all a part of the plan. So you're not going to do yourself any good by telling yourself that you were wrong or beating yourself up for following the wrong signs. Everything is a sign. Everything is just the self communicating to the self because there's only one here. Okay, so, but what we do need to do is look at what brought us here, the signs that we followed, the intuition we followed, all of the ways in which we affirmed our intuition along the way, right? Every moment when we were like, oh God, this is going in such a good direction. I'm really glad I'm following my heart. Yeah, this is so good. Until boom, we hit an issue. And then all of a sudden we want to say, oh, I should have never listened to that. Oh, it was all fake. It was all BS. None of it was real anyway. How could I be so deceived? You see, and you just spiral. And then what you're doing in that process, and you don't realize you're doing it, but what you're doing in that process is all those moments that you built up in a positive emotion, that were emotionally charged in a positive way, you're now reversing the effects of that. Where you could completely just leave it alone, and all of those moments could still have a positive space within your memory and within your heart. You don't have to make them sour because your path took an unexpected turn. You can still leave the good moments as defined as being good moments. They still were good moments. The only thing making them bad now is your own regret, your own guilt, your own shame, your own self-hate. So don't sabotage. It's like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't sabotage all the good moments because you right now want to judge this unexpected moment as bad. Nothing's good or bad. Transcend that. Go beyond that, and you will see the truth of this entire picture. First of all, when you hit a wall or your path takes an unexpected turn with something, even that moment's not bad. Even in that moment, we should be embracing, and this is what the challenge is this week, we shouldn't be embracing that challenge. We should be in that moment of discomfort or shock, remembering the truth that all things are in divine order, and sink into that despite the discomfort. Oh, and magical things will happen. Oh, magical things will happen. Magical things will happen. And if you have like a strong connection to the Aquarius archetype or the planet Uranus, you will be aware of the shock factor that comes with that archetype. And all kinds of people will respond differently. How do you respond to shock? How do you respond to change? Because remember, adaptability is key. Adaptability is strength. So how are you going to prepare for those moments of not just challenge, but shock? Because especially with things like shock or an unexpected turn, we tend to think the worst instead of going, oh, wow, my life is taking a turn. That's not bad. That's obviously the Creator redirecting me, because all things are in the hands of the Creator. All things are the Creator's directive. And so I'm going to remember that right now and not be so foolish as to begin to self-sabotage myself just because I want to judge a turn of events as bad. Instead, prepare so that when those moments of challenge happen, and when those moments of shock or disruption happen, we can, instead of right off the bat judging it as bad and making it go worse than it has to, we can remember that nothing is outside of the Creator's plan. That all things unfold according to divine plan. And if we can embrace that in the moment of shock, then we can take the wheel, so to say. Take the wheel of our own destiny. Take the wheel of our own fate. And we can, with a positive and faithful mindset, move forward in a healthy way. in a way that is sure to bring more prosperity and more peace than there would have been if you were to freak out upon the unexpected change. Okay, so one way that you can do this gracefully is by preparing yourself, by letting go of the old signs, the old stories, the old symbols that brought you here. In fact, affirming all of those steps you took to get you to this place that you were wanting to judge as bad. Okay, so what do I mean by that? It looks like this, because that could sound a little confusing. It looks like this. Oh my God, my life is taking a turn. I didn't expect this. This is going to be the worst. Why did I do all those things that led me here? Why did I talk to this person? Why did I date that person? Why did I take this job? All of it was stupid. I can't believe I'm here. And you see, what's happening is all you're doing is resisting what is. You're setting yourself up for failure with a negative attitude, expecting the worst, and like an angry toddler, self-sabotaging by just denying your intuition over and over as to why it led you there, and looking back and cursing the path that led you to this present moment, which you're also cursing. So now not only are you carrying this negative frequency right now, you're literally doing dark magic. Like that's the kind of magic you should be afraid of. Don't be afraid of some tarot reading or some fortune teller. Be afraid of your own self unknowingly and ignorantly using energetic manipulation to sabotage your own path. Just shooting negative energy into your past. You know, there are Reiki symbols and there are symbols from different cultures that particularly touch on the idea of sending energy across time and space. For example, inner child healing, healing the past, or sending Reiki into the future to ensure a positive outcome of an event that hasn't arrived yet. Okay, so what you're doing is accessing that unconsciously or unknowingly in those moments, and you're shooting negative energy into your past. You're sending negative energy. Instead of seeing all the blessings as still being blessings, even though they brought you to a place you didn't expect to be, instead of doing that, you curse all the blessings and you take away the positivity they brought you. And it's a very simple concept. It's not even like some woo-woo weird magic thing where you're like sending energy, you're shooting energy at someone through laser beams in your eyes or something. No, I'm saying think about it. Use your brain, okay? For example, if you received blessings along the way, like say you dated somebody and you received many blessings, but now that person ended up terrible and now you want to curse your whole relationship with them, even though there were positive moments, okay? Now here you are, you're cursing them, you're cursing the past, where instead you could have a more positive energy and still feed off of the positivity that did indeed come from the good moments. But instead, because things didn't work out your way, you're throwing away all the positive energy that you cultivated by carrying in negative energy and just hurting yourself, simply hurting yourself in that moment. By carrying that negativity, that doesn't feel good. You feel horrible. You feel sad. You ultimately get sick because our physicality is connected to our emotionality and our mentality. You see, so you start reversing what otherwise would have been positive effects that came of some moments in that relationship or in that experience. Again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Focus on the blessings that happened. Focus on the blessings that are always happening, bringing you not only to those challenging moments, but to each moment. They're all blessings. They're all lessons which become blessings. Always blessings and lessons carrying us to the next moment. So how can we bless the signs and the symbols that brought us to where we are in this moment, whether we're judging this moment as positive or negative, whether we're judging this moment as joyful or relaxing or peaceful or horrible and painful and uncomfortable? How can we move beyond our judgment to come to that place outside of time and space that 100% all of the time trusts in the plan that's unfolding, regardless of our judgment, regardless of our judgment? How can we bless those signs and also honor them for where those signs were or how they manifested, how they occurred? And detach from them, okay? So it's like honoring all those intuitive, honoring all the intuitive guidance that we received to bring us to this moment, saying thank you for bringing me here, and also I'm ready for a new story. I'm ready for new signs. I'm ready for new symbols to lead me to the next part of the story. Okay, so it's like, not only do we not want to curse the signs and symbols that brought us to this moment, we want to thank them, we want to honor them, we want to bless them. And when we do that, what it's telling ourselves and telling each other and telling the one, telling the universe, is saying, I trust in the unfolding of the divine plan. I trust in nature's ability to carry out God's will, the will of the Creator. When we look back and we say, signs and symbols, thank you for bringing me to this point. I'm ready for a new story now. That's what we're doing. We're really telling ourselves and the universe, thank you for bringing me to this moment. Thank you for every part of the plan, because I trust it and I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in each moment. And on the contrary, when you do the opposite and you curse the moments that brought you here, you curse the people or the lessons or the experiences that brought you here, point blank, you are cursing yourself, because there's only one. And so what you're telling yourself then, instead of I trust you, is I hate you. I don't trust you. I don't understand you. That's really what we're saying. I don't understand you. We're saying I hate you because we're ignorant, because we're not maintaining remembrance of the way that the universe works. We're not maintaining a remembrance of the laws of nature and the universe. And so it's actually sad when we're doing that, when we're cursing the signs and symbols that brought us here. It's simply revealing that we're not in tune with the truth, because that's the only reason we would curse anything, because everything is one. Is self, oneself. And beyond the sadness, because sadness won't get us anywhere. So beyond the sadness is the inspiration to want to progress, to want to do better, to want to remember, to want to correct the ignorance, to insert awareness. That's what's beyond the sadness. We can look at ourselves and go, wow, that's sad that I don't have that faith, or it's sad that I don't have the remembrance, or it's sad that I don't know how to apply this awareness. Or instead we can move beyond the self-pity and go, nah, I've been through some stuff, but I'm gonna keep going. I would say I'm just beginning, but each moment is a new beginning, because now I'm aware of the eternity of time, the eternal nature of consciousness. So I'm always gonna keep going, because I know that I always have to anyway. And so I'm going to make the absolute most of this experience. And the ally of the week is the Gimel. This is the third letter of the alphabet. Makes the G sound. And it kind of looks like a foot. To me, it kind of looks like a high heel, especially in this, the way I drew it. And the Gimel comes right before the Daled. Every Hebrew letter has a hieroglyphic symbol associated with it. The Daled is a doorway of potential, basically. Divine potential, to be exact. And the Gimel coming right before it, and knowing it's all a sequence, is saying it's like a foot walking through the door. A foot that's about to enter the door. How do we get the foot in the door? It also represents action, taking action. Because putting our foot through the door, if you think about it, is like the ultimate metaphor to represent something that's happening every moment with our consciousness. We're stepping into a new dimension each moment. Hebrew letters in the Hebrew alphabet are deep, okay? And so it's saying, how can we, the Gimel asks us to ask ourselves, how can we take that first step toward progress, toward opportunity, toward the door, toward our potential? How can we take those first steps? What actions do we have to take to get ourselves through that door, to that door and through that door? The Gimel is also connected to card number 3 in the tarot, which is the Empress, also known as the unveiled Isis. She is the part of us that reminds us, it's the intuitive part of us. That's why it's a she. She's in you as well if you're a man, every man, woman, child. She's the part of our awareness, our intuitive awareness, that reminds us to think, say, and do that which is in alignment with what we want to manifest. Think things that are in resonance with what we want to manifest. And if we want to take it all the way, we should be thinking things that help us to manifest the ultimate goal that we all share, which is the goal of manifesting heaven on earth. The goal of aligning our will with that of the divine. So what actions do we need to take to align with that manifestation? Because that's getting straight to the point. That's going right to it. And if we only focus there on that bigger picture, we would see that all the smaller details of the picture would figure themselves out. That we wouldn't need to decide which mundane actions to take, because those mundane actions would be guided by higher forces, which we are anchoring in and devoting ourselves to. So what actions do we need to take to fulfill our, not just our, everyday duties, but our ultimate purpose? And remember that the ultimate action that we can take toward bringing heaven to earth is acts of loving kindness. Because all acts of loving kindness initiate a process of the activation of the virtuous light that is within everyone. Acts of kindness activate that light within us and help us to actualize the light through our senses to make something of it in this world. So when we do an act of loving kindness, it's always virtuous. It's always either something that involves some sort of compassion, some sort of compassionate way of being. It involves being honest, being vulnerable, being giving, being loving, being supportive, being patient with someone. That's an act of loving kindness when we can be patient and present to hear someone's story, to hear someone unload. And all the virtues are parts of the all-virtuous light of compassion. So when we are embodying any one of them, we are an embodiment of that light, and we have the potential and the ability to express that light through us and bring it into creation, which is literally how we go about the process of bringing heaven to earth. And so remember, as we go through this week, and we struggle to, and some of us more than others struggle to persevere and keep going through the challenges and make the most of them, how can we remember our ally that reminds us, hey, when you are of service to others, when you do acts of loving kindness for yourself and for others, it helps to carry you through. It makes things easier. That's the secret of the Gimel. Because, for example, you can think that you're making the most of your challenges, but if you forget why we're even doing that, why we're going through all these challenges, why we're going through these upgrades, why we're going through these lessons, if you forget, then it's all for nothing. You just have to go through it again and again and again in the same ways, instead of going through it in ever deeper ways. Remember why we're even doing this. For example, if you are experiencing a challenge and you got the first part down and you go, oh, I remember that this challenge, I remember what it's for. It's here for me to make the most of it and learn and grow. Then the Gimel asks you to take it to the next level and ask, what are you going to do with that growth? What are you going to do with that new light within your mind, within your heart, within your being, within your soul? How are you going to shine it forth to help others, to help the world? How are you seeing your success through these challenges as a positive manifestation for the whole, or the one? And another thing that the ally tells us this week is that as you move through this challenge, if you think of this right now, you think of what you prepare by thinking of what you're going to do with this new light for others, for the world, how your victory is going to serve not just your small self, but your whole one self, of which we're all a part. You will manifest a great strength right here, right now, which will multiply the effects of your efforts. Okay, it's like a pro tip that you're getting here from this ally of the week, the Gimel. It's saying, hey, secret, before you step into these inevitable, challenging times ahead, before you step into unexpected moments which are inevitable, let's prepare. Let's remind ourselves of why we're going through these challenges. Let's form a strategy so that as we move through the challenge, we remember to make the most of it, and we remember that we're doing it for the one. And when we connect our vision of the future to our purpose and to people we love, especially when we connect our vision to those we love with our heartstrings all involved, the manifestation is so powerful, because feeling and emotions are magnetic. It's like electricity. So instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to make it through this challenge so that I'm stronger. Let's say, I'm going to make it through this challenge so that I'm stronger in mind, in body, in spirit, so that I can continue to live my mission. Doesn't that sound more powerful? Doesn't that feel more powerful? Does that not call upon your spirit to be activated with purpose? Instead of just, oh, I'm going to get through this so that I can show myself I can. That's okay, that's good. But how about, I'm going to get through this so that I can evolve psychologically and spiritually, so that through me, the whole may evolve, so that I may be making the most of this life experience where I am the microcosmic man in reflection of the macrocosm, so that I can use all parts, all dimensions of my being to serve the evolution of all creation. Let's take it there. That's what the Gimel says. How are we giving back to the world? How are we remembering that this week that our challenge, and always, that our challenges are there so that we can grow, so that we can Gimel grow. And that's how we should be seeing all parts of our experience. The joys, the challenges, the ups, the downs, the whole spectrum. How are we using all parts as a ritual for the progression of the collective mind and collective soul as we move through this evolutionary journey? Okay, so that's what this overall message is telling us. Make sure you're following the signs in the right way. Don't hold on to old signs. Also, don't beat yourself up for them. Know that every moment is a sign. All things are a sign, and they're always speaking to you. So honor all parts of the process and welcome new signs and symbols consciously. Talk to the universe. Say, I welcome new signs and symbols that are going to reflect the next stage of my life, as I'm here now ready to step into that stage. Thank you very much. And I'm ready to project a positive attitude into the future rather than using my energy to shame myself or my intuition, to second guess myself or my intuition, to curse the past. Nah, I'm done with that. I'm taking my energy back. I'm taking my power back, and I'm going to direct it toward the positive future. I'm going to expect the best. I'm not going to just get by, just get through the challenges, just so I can make it through. I'm going to blast through these challenges. I'm going to remain wide awake and lucid during these challenges, and I'm going to milk those experiences for everything they have to offer. I'm going to make the most of them. I'm going to grow as many ways as I can possibly identify opportunities in this challenge. I'm going to look for every opportunity because I can identify the real from the unreal. I know that the pain, the discomfort, the awkwardness, the anxiety, the boyfriend even the children, the people in general are not going to last forever, but the souls will, the light will. So it would do us good to loosen up that material entanglement a bit. Stop having so many opinions about our loved ones, our friends, our acquaintances. Instead, to see the opportunity that lies within all these relationships and within all these experiences for our shared growth. Because what's more important than how much you like Anita, or how much you like Diana or Tom or Bob, what's more important than how much you like them is the opportunity that exists within your experiences with them for you all to grow. The uniting factor and the timeless factor is consciousness. So when we can remember that, what happens is we focus on what's real, and we then base our decisions, our thoughts, our speech, our actions on that which is real. And then we direct our energy in a more proficient way without wasting our time and our efforts on nonsense. Instead, we focus on what matters and what's actually real and what is everlasting, which is the light that we have the opportunity to cultivate through our experiences. Okay, so we're going to say, I'm no longer using my energy to curse the past or to second guess myself. I trust all parts of the process. I trust in the divine plans unfolding each moment, no matter what I'm going through, no matter how I'm judging my experience on the spectrum, good or bad. Whatever I'm going through, in every single moment, I trust in the plan, and I'm going to keep going. And especially in those moments where I can feel like I'm about to second guess myself, or I can feel like I'm about to curse life, I will remember that there is only one here. And if I curse anything, I curse myself, and I must take accountability for that negative karma that I will incur in those moments when I do that. And so instead, I'm not going to do that. And when I feel uncomfortable, when I feel pain, suffering, I'm going to remember it's a part of the process, and I'm going to remain strong and do my best to make the most of the moment, all the while maintaining the remembrance of why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to reveal the light, to reveal more light that is hidden within the darkness, because as I reveal that light, that revelation has effects that will last forever. Okay, so just 3 card reading. This week calls us to look at our experience and ask, how can we make the most of it, especially in the times of challenge, and pay attention to those moments where things don't exactly go as planned, things don't go as expected, your life takes an unexpected turn. How gracefully you can navigate those unexpected turn of events will reflect back to you your level of trust in the plan. For example, if something goes unexpectedly and you respond with, you're paralyzed in shock, or you start to have fears or doubts, and you start to question everything that led you to that moment, this is showing that you don't trust the plan. Whereas instead, if your life takes an unexpected turn of events, you stay in trust. You stay in faith that, it's just another moment that must be a part of the plan. So I'm going to see this redirection as absolutely divine. That will reveal that you do trust, and you are navigating the experience in the best way you possibly can. So pay attention. What is your response when you come to these moments of struggle, when you come to these unexpected turns on the road of life? Is your ego coming out in the form of attachment, expectation? Are your attachments and expectations being revealed in that moment when you have a hissy fit, or when you have a full breakdown even, because things didn't go as planned? What that's really showing you is, it doesn't even matter what the material details of the situation are in that moment. What that's really trying to tell you is, you better trust yourself. You better wake up. You better remember the truth. You better remember who you are. You better remember why you came here. Oh my goodness, really? You're going to have a breakdown at the first unexpected turn of events? Did you forget that there's no other here? There's only one, and so you did that. Even if in that moment you're like, I didn't expect this. Well, some higher part of you wrote the script, baby. So are you going to resist that part of yourself that is ultimately creating your experience? Are you going to curse your experience, thus cursing the Creator, who you are one with, who we are all one with, so ultimately you curse us all? Or are you going to instead in each moment do your best to find ways that you can insert thinking and words that reflect that you trust the plan? So when that turn of events comes, instead of going, oh my God, this is the worst, how could this happen? You're going to catch yourself and go, God bless. Thank goodness. This is perfect. And I would say that in any moment because I trust in the plan. Okay, so that's what this week looks like. Using every moment to affirm your trust, your faith in universal truth, in universal law. Use every moment to show yourself. And you get a bonus when you can do it in the hard moments. The harder, the more uncomfortable, the more anxiety that is present, the more horrible, per your judgment, the experience seems to be, the greater the potential to lock in, to anchor in trust. Because universal law is unfailing. And so as soon as you're ready to trust it, it's ready to prove to you that you can fully lean on it. And so this process is even more rewarding when you can carry that faith in times when it's hardest to do so. That's just the way things work in life, in nature, in the universe. The harder the challenge, the greater the gift. So challenge yourself to maintain this awareness and to maintain this work of inserting gratitude and trust in your experience in all moments, especially in the ones where it is absolutely the hardest. And again, the ally says, remember, it's not just for you. You're not going to find the inspiration and motivation to keep going with this work on this path until you fully lock in the remembrance of why you're doing it, that you're doing it so that we can grow together, so that we could put that foot through the door, the new door to the new earth or whatever, new dimension, whatever you want to call it. And when you think big like that and you connect your process to the bigger picture, you tap into a collective power that got your back. You tap into a collective of beings who are doing this with you, and you open up to that power. And what's more is that when you tell the universe, you tell the Creator, hey, I'm doing this for us, the Creator supports you even more. All of the forces of creation, all of nature, all of life supports you, and you feel a tremendous level of empowerment and help from the elementals, from the universe, or whomever you call your guides to be. Because life supports life. So when you tell life, hey, I'm doing this for us, then life says, well, me too. So I'll help you help us. You know the old saying, God helps those who help themselves. Right? So when we tell the universe, I'm here to help you, the universe says, well, we're going to mirror that. We're going to match that. And it becomes an effortless reciprocation and such a graceful dance. And so that's what the ally tells us this week. When you remember why you're doing the work, it fires you up with purpose. It activates your spirit and your will in such a way that you want to keep going with the work. And simultaneously, it opens you up to the greatest forces of power that then carry you through the process. So it ends up being easier than it would have been to choose the lower path. It ends up being easier than it would have been to choose the path of selfishness, which leads to suffering and more pain. When you rise up to the challenge and you make it about the one and you make it into your spiritual mission, then the whole challenge becomes something very different. It becomes only an opportunity. It becomes only a gift. It becomes actually enjoyable in moments where in the past you would have made yourself sick simply because of your way of thinking about the experience, your way of judging the experience. What once was unbearable, what once was a situation you would avoid at all costs and deny, which led to suffering, now becomes a situation of opportunity, of challenge in a positive and healthy way. It becomes an opportunity for adventure, for growth, for expansion. So it may get your heart pumping, just as it always has, but it's a positive excitement. Whereas before it was anxiety, now it's excitement. Okay, so make the most of your experiences ahead. Know that every moment is a part of the path, and dedicate your every moment to the mission of bringing heaven to earth, for the mission of uplifting the collective, for the mission of multiplying the light within yourself so that you can multiply the light within the one. Connect your steps to the ultimate mission. Remember that you came here to use your life as a ritual to affect our collective life, and watch how your whole path changes. Happy new moon eclipse to you guys. I really enjoyed the energy from the last eclipse to this one. It's been a super potent time. We're 7th night of Hanukkah. Tomorrow's the last night of Hanukkah, so we're going to light the menorah now. If you enjoyed this activation, I would love to see you again next week for the first quarter. Again, we do this 4 times a month. Every single week, we journey together through the royal path, which, by the way, tarot means royal path. Feel free to hit follow on my page, Royal Path Tarot. The video will now be loaded to youtube.com/Rebecca Magic. Also, Rebecca Magic on Instagram. So if you have a friend who's not on Facebook, feel free to share there. Feel free to share it on your wall or with your favorite groups. If you would like to ask questions about tarot or share your own insights, I do have a private group that you could find on my page here on Facebook. It's called Royal Path. And that's where we just discuss archetypal awareness. It's an awesome community of people from around the world. We also have another group called Shabbat Crew, SHABBAT Crew, and that group is also on my page here. And it's where we meet every Friday night to light the Shabbat candles and share about the current Torah story every week from a mystical perspective. And this is for anyone, not just for Jewish people, it's for anyone who wants to access the technology of the Torah in a way that helps us to apply that wisdom here and now. Also, thank you guys for your support in purchasing my book. My books 1 and 2 on the Major Arcanum and the Minor Arcanum have been shipped out quite a few times this week and purchased around town in the magical Sedona, Arizona. So thank you so much for your support, everybody who's given me beautiful feedback. I think my favorite feedback of the week was from a gentleman who said that he used to think tarot was bullshit, and he's now been watching the activations for a while, and he has a totally new perspective on it. And that's why I'm here, is to show you guys the ancient method of using the tarot. And if you want to know more, again, please ask me about my books. I'm happy to ship to you. I also have a private video that I did a while back that I took off of my wall, so it was kind of an exclusive view. And that video goes into the more ancient understanding of the technology of the tarot. So if you want to go deeper and you want to understand how to use the tarot beyond a deck of cards, or if you want to understand how to access these archetypes in a way other than just pulling random cards, please ask me about access to that video. Ancient Method for Understanding Tarot. Okay, also thank you guys so much for coming every week to this portal and bringing your unique light and magic. I have now met some of you in person here in Sedona because a lot of people travel to this magical place, and it's happened a few times now where I've run into some of you magical people, even from other countries. And it's just amazing to get to meet in person. It feels so surreal to hug each other, to connect in this physical dimension, and to feel the feeling of this portal in the physical. It's amazing. I'm so grateful for the bond that is forming between all of us here in this weekly meetup. So thank you. I love you guys. Happy Hanukkah. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. And I will see you next week, either in Shabbat Crew for the Torah story, or I'll see you for the first quarter activation. Shalom!